My mom is 100% convinced she's being tracked on her phone through a dating app. My mother thinks that all these people are tracking her and just popping up in public. She thinks that they're sending her subliminal messages. My mom believes that dating app uses like a secret number language. No matter what or where we go, everybody is always constantly throwing up a number.
Somebody as simple as somebody pointing, throwing up the peace sign.
One time when we were driving, she literally reached her arm all the way across the car to put her 2 fingers out my window to throw some man the numbers 2 because he was supposedly throwing up a 3. She also believes that when they're trying to get her attention, if it's not just the hand signals, that they wear certain colors. Whatever color picture is on that account, when you wear that color in public, that's the account that you're linked to.
He's got something bright green in his hands. He's wearing blue.
Could be something, I don't know.
It started with pink and black being the issue, and then green got on board, and then slowly but surely it's every color of the rainbow now. And she's constantly sending me pictures of people in different colors. When we were driving, we saw a man in an orange t-shirt, and she thought that he was linked up with a girl that had orange shoes at the last stop we made. These are all just normal people living their lives wearing whatever color shirt they happen to be wearing, scratching their head with a couple fingers or 1 finger or whatever. I don't think it's associated with a dating app. This entire tracking app thing is all that she lives for anymore. It's literally impossible to deal with her anymore. I hope it's not too late for my mom to go back to living a normal life.
Until 3 years ago, that none of this had shown up, that you had not seen any hints of this, she had not given any version of this, just came out of the blue 3 years ago.
Yep. I think whatever she was going through with her relationship, they were on the rocks or something.
And we're talking about her ex-boyfriend, Jim, and a lot of people have breakups, they do. I mean, and even with someone finding somebody else while they're in a relationship, cheating on them, betraying them in some way, and the betrayed person doesn't have this kind of reaction. And I'm not saying that your mother was betrayed, and Jim certainly is going to deny that when we talk to him later, but even if that were the case, this is not a typical reaction, correct?
No, not at all. For sure it's not. I've never heard of anything like this before.
And she's never shown this kind of reaction to any other type of trauma or problem in her life before?
No.
Okay, and now she has not shown any uptick or history of drug abuse around this time 3 years ago, correct?
No.
Now, we do know that when she was much younger, before you were on the scene, that she did use alcohol and maybe even abuse alcohol for a period of time. But since you've known her throughout your life, you've not seen any of this behavior whatsoever?
No.
Not prescription drugs, anything that would be of concern, pain pills, anything like that?
No,
what I'm trying to get to is if you've seen anything that she may have had a side effect to or something, that even that she was taking legitimately.
No, I don't think it was anything like that, no.
Now, she actually believes that someone, an older man from my staff, was following her and tracking her through part of this trip, correct?
Yes. When we were driving out here to film, we stopped at a hotel in Nevada, I believe. And when we woke up in the morning, we were heading back onto the road. There was a man like in the breakfast nook, and he had like a white mustache and white hair. And she was like, "Do you see that man? He looks familiar. He looks like he's from Dr. Phil." And I was like, "I don't know that man. I've never seen him on Dr. Phil. I've never seen that man at all." And then once we started driving, she tried pointing out a car saying it was the same man like hours later. And I was like, I didn't catch it, but I don't think it was the same man. And then once we got into California, she thought she saw him again.
And did she have a theory as to why I would dispatch someone to be following her?
I think that she thinks that you guys are like purposely like putting people around her. I don't know. That man particularly, like she just thought he was tracking us. I wasn't for certain on like what the reason would be for, but she has pointed out other people as well wearing certain colors. And she was saying like, maybe you guys sent them. Now my mom is believing that all of her coworkers are part of the peeping app. Because of the different colors they wear, my mom told me this bizarre story about how this girl she works with went and got a haircut to the length that my mom's hair is. She wore a baseball hat like my mom wears to work. She wore a similar outfit to what my mom would wear to work. And she purposely went through the warehouse on camera, disguised as my mom, so she could put the app on my mom's phone. It's kind of out there, and I really don't understand it.
Okay, Nancy says that she constantly sees people tracking her, wearing specific colors, and using a secret number system to try to communicate with her that they want to have sex. Now, even worse, she claims it's all part of a revenge plot orchestrated by her, quote, narcissistic, emotionally abusive ex-boyfriend, Jim.
I believe my ex is exploiting me online in a sexual manner. It just seems like he has put something on my phone. It's a geolocation app. It's used for hooking up. I fear for my safety.
Whoever you happen to run across, if you're looking at the profile and you want to hit on them, you would let them know by saying yes. I believe like 1 is yes, 2 is no. 3 has something to do with sex. 5 is maybe straight up sex.
A few times people have come up to me waving 3 fingers.
Scratching their face with 3 fingers 3 times. I've seen that in the grocery store.
When I was living with my ex, I was mentally and emotionally abused. He cheated on me emotionally by talking to young girls online. I found multiple Facebook profiles with different names. My ex likes when women wear pink and black. Whenever we would go out, I would notice different women wherever we were at wearing pink and black. Another time, we went to the pet store. My ex gestured with his hand 3 times to the young girl that was the cashier, and then she scratched her nose once. A couple months later, I caught him watching porn at 10 o'clock in the morning, sitting across from me, and it was the same girl from the store. My last words were I was going to exploit him for the sexual predator that he is. And in turn, I am now being exploited online. I believe my ex has friended some people that I work with, and they are involved in it together. There's profiles online linked to me with different colors of the rainbows. Feels like some kind of crazy voodoo that's been cast on me.
Well, joining us virtually is Nancy. Nancy, good to meet you.
Good to meet you too, Dr. Phil.
Nancy, I need to ask you if you're here to figure this out, if you're open-minded to all possibilities, or if you've already made up your mind that there's only one explanation here.
I can say that I'm open to possibilities.
Is it possible that you're misinterpreting this?
I would say yes, there is possibility. Some of it could be in my head. That's what I'm here to figure out.
You say that your coworkers created fake profiles under the pseudonym The Shine Lady. Like, for example, here are some images of Shine Lady profiles, but I don't see your picture on any of these. There are close to 150-something million people on Facebook. How do you determine that out of 150 million people on Facebook that these are about you? How do I know they're not about me?
Right. I believe it's somehow linked to my phone number.
Is your phone number on there?
I have no idea. I can't see the pages. I've never tried to friend the pages.
Well, if you think there's a conspiracy revolving around you and you haven't bothered to check the phone number, because I checked the phone numbers. It's not even about me, and I checked the phone numbers, and several of these are tied to cleaning companies.
Okay, yeah, I am not literate to the internet.
I was with my coworker. We were on the highway, and there was a truck that came along, got into our lane in front of us using his blinker 3 times. My coworker, in turn, open-handedly 3 times, ran her hand down the front of her shirt, and he in turn put his blinker on 3 times, got into the next lane. She got in behind him using her blinker once. I'm thinking 3 is sex, 5 is regular sex. And he was looking for sex, and she said yes, but she wasn't speaking for herself, she was speaking for me.
Nancy says she's constantly seeing people from the Hookup app loitering in the parking lot, around her home, suspicious numbers of skateboarders coming down her street. We decided to hit the streets with Nancy so she could show us exactly what she's interpreting to be going on around her. Let's take a look at what happened.
I can't even walk out the door sometimes. I don't want to even go outside.
She basically thinks that 80% of the population is associated with this dating app.
People started calling me lady at work, and I thought that was so strange. A little while later, girls started talking about how good I put a shine to things. I did some of my own investigating, and that's when I found the Shine Lady profiles on Facebook.
She started looking up the Shine Lady on Facebook. Each Shine Lady page that has different colors on it, the colors are linked to that page. So if you're wearing green, you must talk to that Shine Lady. Even today at the park, she pinpointed everybody that might be involved in this, and it just so happens to be everybody we saw.
The girl with the blue and yellow one, she's got purple and pink shoes. She just walked past us. Never seen so many people wear purple in all my life. I started seeing it. I didn't know men like to wear purple so much. But they do. The purple leash with the green collar. Maybe she's on the purple and green profile. Every time I see colors, like the group's colors together, it makes me very suspicious as to whether they're involved or what they like to wear. My heart races. You never know who you're going to run across or who's out there. People have, mental illnesses or sexual predators.
I do not believe that she's being tracked by anybody. It's consuming her whole life because she's convinced herself it's true.
Okay, Nancy, when I'm looking at that, I didn't notice anyone intersecting with you.
They don't necessarily have to walk across my path. They could be at a distance, and
Well, my question is, how do you differentiate the ones that are on a mission to engage you versus those that are picking their child up from daycare?
I really can't tell, I guess. I guess the ones that make it a point to walk through my parking lot, it's hard to say. I'm stuck on that.
You're not entertaining alternative explanations. You're just deciding it's all about you.
I wouldn't say necessarily. I know people need to go about their everyday lives. I don't know. I don't want to say it's all about me, but it could be all in my head. I don't know.
One time, me and my mom were out, and we kind of got in a weird situation.
We actually had someone follow us for 15 miles. We stopped at a red light, and a pickup truck pulled up next to us and asked us if we were blowing tonight. When we stopped at the second light, he tossed over into my window. A pack of cigarettes had 3 cigarettes in it. He was looking for sex.
She thought it was something related to the dating apps.
Nancy says she's here today because she hopes she'll finally have the evidence she needs to prove to the world that she really is being tracked through this Hookup app. Now, I'd like to welcome back to the show a gentleman that I've worked with before, Mark Daniel. Now, he's the sales manager for Digital Forensics Corporation, one of the leading specialists in extracting and analyzing digital evidence. Now, they regularly work with Fortune 500 companies, the police, and the FBI. Now, they have examined Nancy's cell phone, which she believes was being used to track her location. So, Mark, what did you guys find?
We did a very, very thorough dive and found absolutely nothing. It was a standard cell phone, no malware, spyware, keystroke loggers, no software that can be construed as monitoring. There was nothing there.
Was there any evidence that a Facebook dating app was tracking Nancy's cell phone?
We did a full archival and investigation of her Facebook account, just to make sure there was nothing out of the ordinary happening. We investigated some of the terms and accounts she provided to us, and again, nothing.
Nancy, what do you say about that? He says it's not happening, hasn't happened, and you're nowhere on the dark web for people to access, to get into your phone, password, Facebook, anything of the sort, so you can be harassed.
Oh, thank God for that. I feel that maybe it's my past coming out to haunt me. It stems from a long way back to my childhood.
This is bringing up some things that were unresolved from your childhood. Can you tell me, just generally speaking, what kind of things are percolating or being triggered by all of this happening?
I went through childhood sexual trauma when I was 9.
I'm very, very sorry that you endured that as a child. I'm very sorry that that happened to you. And I'm curious, what have you done throughout your life, or what have others provided for you throughout your life to help heal the wounds that are created by that kind of experience?
At the time, I really didn't tell anybody, so I've been carrying this around for a long time.
Well, I'm very, very sorry to hear that. Those kinds of things have a way of coming up at different times in your life and causing you to see the world through a filter that can be very distorting and cause you to interpret things and see the world in a very hurtful way and interpret things in a very distorted fashion, which is totally not your fault, and can make one thing appear one way when it's something else. And I put that on my list of considerations. Mark, I want to thank you and your organization for doing such a thorough and deep and broad search and job. You guys always set the bar in the forensic investigation. You are the best of the best, and thank you and your team for what you've done here.
Not a problem at all.
Next, I believe that life experiences can change the way we perceive the world. PTSD, trauma, abusive past, all of these things can change the filters through which we view the world.
I had childhood sexual trauma, being molested. I was 9 and he was 17. I think Jim, after getting to know him, really set off my PTSD. He is so similar to my molester. And because of my PTSD, I have made some horrible life choices in life partners.
My mom says she has a long history of dating abusive men. I'm not sure what to believe. I think it might all be in her head.
Well, I really believe I have the perfect person to help unravel this ball of yarn. Now, Dr. Charles Sophy is a psychiatrist and recently retired medical director for the County of Los Angeles Children and Family Services for 22 years. He's also a member of the Dr. Phil Advisory Board. And so, Dr. Sophy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
She and I were just talking about the fact that she's experienced a lot of trauma in her life.
Yes.
At age 9 of a sexual nature, never got any help for it. Is it possible that this has come bubbling back up?
Well, I think it's a very interesting combination of symptoms, and I think her intelligence is what saved her this long because she had no treatment. But now it's converging because it is a convergence and an intersection of high anxiety and the symptoms of PTSD and her sexual trauma, as well as a high IQ. And this is the format her brain is taking to handle the anxiety created by getting into a relationship and intimacy coming up and all of the unresolved issues that have happened in her PTSD.
Nancy, I asked you in the beginning, if you were open-minded to the point that you would consider an alternative explanation that maybe this isn't really going on. Maybe there isn't some dating app with 80% of the population conspiring to exploit you sexually, that instead some alternative explanation, maybe childhood trauma, maybe PTSD, maybe the fear of intimacy with getting very close with Jim, created a threat scenario that put you into a fight or flight reaction, and you started to imagine certain threats because of something that was unresolved from earlier on, and you constructed this fantasy to protect you from that. Is that a possibility?
I could say maybe it is. It felt realistic to me.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.